let me start with a story about, I think it was the very first AGM, or possibly the second one, that I went to at Reading Branch, which was in the, I think it was called the Welford Hall in Carey Street. And we were all sort of getting our places. I knew the chairman and the vice chairman and the other people. And all of a sudden, a man I hadn't seen before walked in and sat down at the head of the table and said he was the president of the branch. And I'd never met him before, and I said most other people hadn't. He was a Mr. Smith. Turned out, in fact, he was John Smith, who a bit later on in life became Sir John Smith, who had vast dealings with the Westminster Bank and was one of the very generous sponsors of the Canal in the early days. He was also somebody who was tied up with the restoration of the Canal right from, well, I don't know whether it was day one. If it wasn't day one, it was day two of the original people who set up the IWA. And he was a great benefactor to the Trust. Anyway, let's get on with the show. I hope this is going to work. That's really what set the Trust going. That meeting held in Reading Town Hall just over 60 years ago. It was the start of publicity about the canal. Now, I was stationed at Arborfield in those days, and I think, like many of the Reading citizens, had never heard of the canal, didn't realise there was one in Reading. We used to go boating, but we went on the Thames, and I think an awful lot of people did. I knew nothing about that. I didn't even see the report in the local paper. So all the way through, the Trust has had to do tremendous things to get publicity, to tell people about the canal and what to do and how to raise money and things of that nature. Now this shows what happened almost at the very start. They had a petition to the Queen, and this is Butty number 1. If you want to look at Butty number 1 more, there's a couple of copies on the table up here, and that shows the petition which started off in Bath, collecting signatures as it went along the canal. Now that is what Reading looked like. I don't know what time it is. I would think it's about 1950, 60. You can see Gasworks Bridge. There's the now electrified weir on the river side of the Kennet, the canal coming down this side. That is Gasworks Bridge. That's the gasworks at the time. Now, I don't know how they got the coal in there, because in those days, of course, it would have been coal gas that was being produced. Did that come in by water or by rail? Now I can't see any rail showing, but there were large rails that came right in. There is the factory. That's what we now call Chocolate Island, in the middle of where we have Waterfest. And there was a bridge across there, and a railway line ran into the factory from the station over there. I can't see how it got in, but there were definite rails. So this is sometime there must perhaps the rails weren't all there. What happened to the fireboat coming home? I've never heard of them having a fireboat. I haven't seen anything mentioned anywhere. I'm not saying they didn't have it. can't give you any help. The only thing I do know is that they had a steam train, steam engine, I should say, which was a fireless one. Now, the boat that you saw on, taken from Butties 1 and 2 was taking a petition to the Queen. It didn't actually get to the Queen. It was given to the Minister of Transport, and somehow he has managed to lose it, or somebody else has lost it for him. They've had a look in the Public Record Office. We know that there should be 2 or 3 volumes bound in leather of signatures, plus the actual petition, and it's not in the Public Record Office. There is only a photocopy of 1 page. Now, the people there are seen collecting the collecting signatures to go on the petition. The gentleman standing there is Dennis Hutchings, who was the original secretary of the Kennet Avon Canal Association, as it was in the first place, then the Kennet Avon Canal Trust. This was a, so I say, headquarters function. He was also on the later days part of the committee of Reading Branch. That lady is the daughter of Dennis Hutchings. That's Margaret Hutchings, his wife. The lady there is Celia, and later on we shall see her on one of the later slides 50 years later when she came to the 50th anniversary meeting of the branch. Those are boats trying to get into the canal in the early days. The water level looks very low, but you can see there is a very low bridge. That's Bridge Street Bridge. And right underneath it is a big girder that was put there by Reading Council to strengthen the bridge at the end of the war, because they thought it wouldn't take the weight of traffic which was going to go across it. That's the girder, and there should have been wooden blocks between the girder and the underside of the bridge to take the strain. And unfortunately, when Reading did the job, they forgot to put the blocks in. So for 15 years, I think it was there doing nothing other than stop boats going about their lawful business underneath. Here you can see boats that are held up, waiting for the water level to be raised. What you had to do, if you couldn't get underneath the arch, was they dropped the level of the water in the river by opening the sluices at the downstream end and shutting the sluices at the top end so the water level went down. Here you can see this boat is the Enterprise, was the trip boat operating in the early days on the canal. It's been made deliberately cut down so that it would actually get underneath the girder. There was only 4 foot thick headroom. Next to it, as you can see, Burfield Old Lock, which was rebuilt in part by this branch. The step against which the gates locked in order to provide the water, lock the gates to make it watertight, had rotted away, and Reading Branch put in a new one. This is on the old lock. If you go to Burfield Lock today, as you go up to it, you'll see on the left-hand side there's a load of wooden planks, horizontal wooden planks. It was an earth side lock only the one side has been left, and they built a brand new steel lock above the old one, and unfortunately they made it 2 feet too short. That means that you cannot get 2 full-length narrowboats into Burfield Lock at the same time. You can get one in because it will go diagonally across the lock, but you can't get 2 as you should be able to.